Caitlin Clark is a supernova, the likes of which we've never seen.
Her game resonates with people that love basketball.
My mom has never cared about sports. She's planning her day and night around this. That's the kind of impact that Caitlin Clark is having.
So what were you doing at age 23? I'm going to pass on that question, actually. WNBA star Caitlin Clark is transforming women's sports. She fills arenas night after night, and her games have smashed TV viewership records. And if you watch Clark play, well, it's not hard to figure out why. She makes deep three-pointers look easy. And like all stars, wants the ball when the game is on the line. Sports journalist, acclaimed sports journalist, and good friend of mine, Christine Brennan, is here. Christine, it's so great to have you.
Thank you.
Her new book, which hit the shelves today, emphasized today, is titled On Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports. So, Christine, if we're going to talk about revolution, I guess we have to talk about the WNBA before Caitlin Clark and the WNBA after Caitlin Clark. Describe these two worlds.
Oh, entirely different, 180, you know. The WNBA before started in 1997, the year after the Atlanta Olympics, and was launched into a time when women's sports was still not taken seriously by a lot of, people in this country. And, I'd go on radio or TV shows or write columns, and, people would laugh like, women's basketball? They're all, I didn't believe this, but, a lot of jump balls, everyone's rolling around. There'd be a lot of guys who would be kind of like, I'm not going to watch that. Well, some of those same guys now, if we want to talk about before and after, some of those same guys or guys like them are the ones buying the 22 jerseys, wearing them to games, Major, but also to the grocery store and to the gas station. Right. It is now cool to be a WNBA fan, and it is cool to love Caitlin Clark. And the spotlight that is finally shining on these players, it should have been shining on them. So many of these players deserve the attention they never got from the male-dominated mainstream sports media. But it's there now. That spotlight on Caitlin Clark also shines on so many other players. They are finally getting the attention they deserve. Complicating this conversation, of course, understandable in our country, our polarized, racially polarized country, 74% black league and a white superstar.
Right.
And obviously we can all understand that does create conversations, issues, and the like.
Let's go into that friction, because some of the African-American WNBA players, if I've read correctly, feel like we labored to make this league strong, and we did make it strong. We didn't need a white savior, and I'm not saying that Caitlin Clark is the white savior, but that's kind of a part of this conversation. There is some friction there, right?
There absolutely is. From certainly the black players and even the older white players, Diana Taurasi, with that, reality is coming, kid. Yeah, well, reality came for sure. Caitlin Clark was terrific. With Breanna Stewart, another UConn player, excellent player with the New York Liberty, not wanting to say Caitlin Clark was one of the greats in college basketball unless she won a title. Well, that's ridiculous. First of all, one of the greats, you can have 200, one of the greats. Caitlin Clark's the all-time leading scorer in college, and yet you've got this begrudging kind of no, thing. And certainly black players, Cheryl Swoops, and others. And, of course, Kennedy Carter with that cheap shot hit. A whole chapter called Hip Check to discuss in the book, discuss every part of that issue. So, yeah, there are hurt feelings. Now, we've seen it in men's sports, and I know there's a lot of people who are watching going, well, it happens all the time. Everyone gets tested. They get pummeled. They get hard fouls. It happens in the NBA, whatever. Absolutely. The difference is the WNBA's never had this moment. So Caitlin Clark is more important to the WNBA than, say, a newcomer like Michael Jordan or Bird or Magic were to the NBA, because you'd already had Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, or Tiger Woods. Men's golf had already had Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, going back to Byron Nelson and Sam Snead, all those guys. So the WNBA had never even had that moment of kind of reaching a plateau.
That first singular star. So how does this first singular star absorb all this? How is she living in this bubble?
Amazingly well. Of course, she's 23 now, as you alluded to. When I was working on the book through up April, we got this thing out very, very fast, so up to date as much as possible. She's 22, during last season, the college season and then the pro season that I deal with mostly in the book. And so I say 22 going on 40 or 50. Just unbelievable poise, having the world thrown at her. What do you think of racial issues? What do you think of politics? As you know, I've covered sports a long
Yes.
time, and I've dealt with a lot of athletes who have not loved questions by me or others, and they've been kind of bored, or I'm not talking about that, or I'm done, or whatever. Caitlin Clark never does that. Never. And she was interviewed as much as any athlete was last year because she went right from the college limelight. 4 million more people watching the women's final than the men's final. I can't even believe I said that sentence. It's been over a year now. 4 million more watching the women's NCAA final than the men's the next night because of Caitlin Clark. Goes right 8 days off and right into the WNBA draft. So she was around all the time, answered every question, morning, noon, and night, sometimes 3 a days, as accessible as anyone I've ever seen, as appreciative, Major, as any athlete I've seen in terms of what she's been given and her role as a role model, signing all those autographs, diving into the crowd before games, after games, boys and girls. Truly, like the perfect person at this time.
Congratulations on the book. Christine Brennan.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.